Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know about one of the biggest events to rock the anime YouTube community at the end of 2021. What I'm referring to is the YouTube channel Totally Not Mark waking up to find over 150 of his videos have been copyright claimed by Toei Animation. Yes, that Toei Animation. The one that animates some of the biggest anime, the likes of Dragon Ball Super and One Piece. Now, when this first broke at the end of 2021, I was very invested in this. I immediately watched Totally Not Mark's video discussing the whole situation. For two reasons, this entire saga between Totally Not Mark and Toei was and still is very important to me. First off, because this affects the whole anime community, but especially the anitube community, which brings me to my second point. This also affects the entire platform known as YouTube and its community, but specifically content creators. Now, as I adore both anime and YouTube, these two circles end up overlapping. This affects me profoundly, considering I am an aspiring YouTuber, but even more so considering my niche as a anituber. I went over to Mark's channel to rewatch his video explaining how this move by Toei affects his content, his channel, and even his livelihood, but unfortunately he seems to have deleted these videos. Fortunately for us, Penguin Zero, better known as Moist Critical or Charlie, did an entire expose when this story first broke. I will let the man, the legend himself, explain.
Corner. And you know what Santa Claus brought to one lucky YouTuber this holiday season? A lump of coal and 150 takedown notices on their YouTube channel. I guess Mr. Claus really wanted to speed run a world record for most videos taken down in a single day because god damn. He whipped out his jolly old Saint Dick and slapped it right across this YouTuber's face. Totally Not Mark, who has a history of covering Toei animation properties such as the Dragon Ball franchise and One Piece, posted this video saying that 150 videos of theirs were taken down by Toei Animations. He goes on to state that they were unjustly taken down because his content is transformative, it reviews, it critiques, it analyzes the properties without just re-uploading them or anything like that, thus it should be protected by fair use. Which it is. But if you've been on YouTube for any length of time really, you'll know that anime companies don't give a fuck about fair use. They don't give a shit, especially Toei Animations. You'll remember Team 4-Star, the people behind Dragon Ball Z Abridged? They had a video taken down and a strike on their channel while they were doing a cameo in the official Dragon Ball Z Kai show. So Toei literally had them doing a cameo while they were fucking them in the ass on YouTube. And in Mark's video here, he actually tells a similar story. Toei Animations apparently reached out to Mark and his channel in order to promote their content on it. And then they go and bury 150 of his videos, just throw that right in the shitter. To be honest, the most surprising thing about this video is the fact that they didn't strike his channel. Usually when Toei Animation has gone on these supervillain rampages, they don't just take down the videos and block them, they strike the channel for each video. So this really could have been 150 strikes in a single day for Mark and his channel. They could have banished him to the Shadow Realm. 150 strikes all at once just sends him straight to hell. That's usually how they conduct business when they go nuts to butts. This isn't the first time they've attacked YouTubers before. As I mentioned, Team 4, they don't give a fuck. So I'm not surprised to see they did this, it's just always upsetting when they do. I'm sure if he fought each of these claims, he would get the videos reinstated over time. But it's such a tedious, laborious process, and he mentions that as well, that it just takes so long. It would take years and years in order to get all of them back through that process. And I know a lot of people are blaming YouTube for it, and YouTube's a lot at fault because they have the tools that allows a company like this to abuse them. And it is always frustrating to see how hands-off they are when their system gets abused. They just say, oh, we'll just handle it with them. You guys can take care of it. We're not going to do shit about it. Fuck it. You guys go, play in the sandbox and make sandcastles of legal disputes. We're not touching it. That's always fucking awful. But I think people really need to focus on the fact that it is Toei Animations that have chose to abuse this shit and attack content creators. And it's not just YouTubers, by the way. I know they've done this on a lot of like anime sites that just like to talk about anime and just go over and critique certain things. I know for a fact they have also issued legal takedowns for other websites as well over the years. They truly just don't give a fuck about anyone else and are just so stuck in these archaic ways where they have to like lock down their property and rule it with an iron fist where no one else is allowed to even mention it unless they have paid Toei Animations money to do so. No matter how within their rights they are to critique and review anime and even show images and clips from their shows, they don't care because they will drown out that with legal notices in their legal department. Toei Animations has a lot of money and they can bully people around with it, and they do, and they have for a long time.
He also explains how certain companies in Japan are so backwards in regard to the internet and are scared of the fact that what is posted to the internet can live on indefinitely.
Extends beyond just Toei Animations and the anime industry in general. I'd like to quickly tell you a story about an agency in Japan called Johnny and Associates. They represent a lot of big groups in Japan, a lot of big influencers, and just very important people and celebrities in Japan. They rep them. And they are fucking scary. They're less of a talent agency and more of a corrupt military. So, if you've played the Yakuza series, you've probably also heard of Judgment. Judgment stars a very popular Japanese actor named Takuya Kimura. Takuya Kimura is represented by Johnny and Associates. And there's a reason why the most recent Judgment game will be the last one, most likely. And it's because they're so afraid of the internet and having Kimura's picture on the internet. They take this so seriously that when he is doing something without their complete blessing, they will take the publication and blank him out. Here's an example. He was on this magazine cover, and then Johnny and Associates decided they didn't really want him there, so they pulled the magazine cover and then grayed him out, literally censored him. He looks like an upcoming challenger in Super Smash Bros. Melee. So they turned him into this gray silhouette because they were afraid with the PC port of this game, his image would appear on the internet, and that's a scary place for a lot of companies in Japan, it seems. So they like the complete control, and they feel like if his image was on the internet, they'd lose that ability to control everything.
Now this brings us to the reason I've made this video. I was scrolling through my YouTube homepage, as I usually do, when I saw a new video from Totally Not Mark, titled We Won ... sort of, Toei Update. Now, having over 150 of his videos and 3 years worth of content copyright claimed, he did what any YouTuber would do. He reached out to YouTube support and made videos addressing it at the time. In mid-December, he made his last video regarding the entire situation, and he explained why he is stepping away from the situation at large. Now, between then and now, he was reached out by someone high up at YouTube. The contact gave him some information regarding the situation he was not aware of.
New stuff. Following my last upload addressing this situation on December 11th, the very next day on December 12th, someone high up at YouTube who had requested I keep their identity withheld reached out to me personally on Discord asking if they could hop on a call with me. From this point on, I will be referring to this person as, quote, my YouTube contact or contact. I immediately hopped onto this call with the YouTube contact. My first experience with this whole Toei situation began when I first received those copyright notices via email. However, my contact informed me that there was much more to that story than what happened after I received those copyright emails. Firstly, prior to any email being sent to me, Toei Animation sent YouTube directly over 150 takedown notices. These are requests to YouTube not to block my content, but to delete them off of my channel, which would lead to strikes right off the bat and likely would result in the termination of my account, and that's bad. But this is where I want to give YouTube some credit. In response to this request, YouTube, as per their policy, did not remove the videos, but rather requested Toei to confirm that they had considered exceptions to copyright, such as fair use and fair dealing. In other words, YouTube looked at my content and felt that the videos might qualify for such an exception.
So, in short, YouTube had asked Toei if they had considered the fair use agreement laid out in YouTube guidelines, and Toei went behind YouTube's back to manually claim all of the videos. They broke the rules. But if Toei has provided an argument that the videos had been infringement under Japanese law, it could have gone very differently.
And so they passed the ball back to Toei to provide further reasoning. And this is where this gets interesting. In response to this, Toei broke YouTube's policy, and instead of responding with a justification for their takedown notices per YouTube's request, they instead used their own tools behind YouTube's back to manually claim and block each and every one of the over 150 videos in my catalog of content, effectively achieving the same result minus the takedown of my channel. This is what resulted in the 150 emails I received alerting to me of this in the first place. So, in short, Toei explicitly broke the rules in this instance. It is important, however, at this time to point out that had Toei provided an argument that the videos were infringing under Japanese law, YouTube would have likely honored their removal, removed the videos worldwide, and potentially struck out my channel. YouTube's justification for following this notice and takedown process ultimately boils down to YouTube wanting to retain their safe harbor status. If they lost this status, they would be picking a side and thus open themselves up to countless lawsuits from all angles. But in this instance, Toei broke the rules of YouTube's copyright policy, which...
So afterwards, all copyright claims were void, but...
which made every single one of those copyright claims and blocks that Toei filed against me null and void. And this might sound great, and following this conversation over the days that followed, I technically had all of my videos back under my control and technically fully monetizable, but as my contact informed me, we were far from out of the woods yet. They said that if I were to put all the videos back up as they were, I would run a massive risk of opening myself up to the exact same thing happening again, and perhaps this time Toei would provide that justification they needed last time. If they did this, then my videos would be deleted and perhaps my channel too.
Toei gave him a list of 86 videos that should stay down, and there was really no rhyme or reason to them. There was no clear layout of why they considered these copyright infringements.
Initially, they wanted to see if it was possible to establish a meeting between myself and a rep from Toei. However, the idea was quickly discarded for a number of reasons. Following this, YouTube asked Toei Animation to review all of my videos they requested takedowns for, since some of them clearly didn't use any of their footage. And this is when something incredibly surprising and concerning occurred. Toei obliged and made a list of 86 videos that they said should stay down, with the implication being anything that wasn't on this list could go back up. My contact shared this list with me and asked me to review it, and what I found was honestly baffling. Contained in this list were frankly the most arbitrary assortment of videos I had ever seen. It honestly appeared as though someone chose videos at random, as if chucking darts at a dartboard. For example, my first video in which I drew characters in a particular style was included on this bad video list, but the second episode, which had literally the exact same style, format, and volume of content, wasn't. To add to the confusion, some parts of my Dragon Ball review series were requested to be taken down, while others, which were part of that same review series, were...
And then YouTube did something they have never done before.
Is where YouTube did something they have never done before. A move that has added a brand new step in their copyright policy or protocol. And while this is a policy YouTube uses in other legal removal areas, it's the very first time they're applying it to copyright. Okay, so a legal copyright removal has to consider fair use or other copyright exceptions, right? My videos are delivered in English and clearly are targeted to those in the Western world, and so YouTube removed the videos in Japan because, given their limited application of copyright exceptions, Toei might see this as infringing in Japan. However, YouTube felt that the videos could reasonably qualify for a fair use exemption in most of the rest of the world, so the content will remain up everywhere else.
I would like to take a minute to really applaud YouTube for the actions they have taken for this case. What they have done will benefit YouTube and content creators, and most importantly, they have created a precedent that can be looked back to if and when something similar happens on the platform. Now, in conclusion, I would like to say, dear Toei Animation, I understand and am fine with you going after people who pirate and use your work in an unfair manner. But please don't go after people like Totally Not Mark who use your work under fair use guidelines laid out by YouTube.